Hello, welcome to the lecturer's desk. Get your medical thoughts cleared before you leave. And please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. Once again, my name is Mike, or can call me Mike. Today, we are looking at EKG. Now, we talk of EKG, what is it? EKG is a graphical representation of the electrical activity of the heart. So, from our previous video, the electrical activity that we did, today we are going to put it in a graphical form so that we can read. So, with this EKG, it works with 12 leads. Now, when we talk of leads, what are they? Leads are specific positions of the body in which we place electrode to take record of electrical activity of the heart. So, for example, let's assume there is we want to take electrical activity of maybe the lateral side of the heart. We have a lead that is actually looking at that lateral side of the heart, and so with that lead, we can get every information of that part of the heart. But these leads actually work with some people call the electrodes. And then the electrodes, what are they? The electrodes are metal parts that are being placed on the skin, and through these metals, that is where the electrical activity are being transmitted to the machine so that I can print it out as a graph. Now, let's look at this. We have 12 leads. And out of these 12 leads, we have 10 electrodes. And out of these 10 electrodes, we have 4 that are for the limbs and 4 that are for the chest. So we have 6 chest electrode, and we have 4 limb electrode. Now, out of these 6 leads, out of these 12 leads, we have 6 that are for the chest and then 6 that are for the limbs. Now, when you take the limbs actually we have also 3 that are bipolar and then 3 that are unipolar. 3 that are bipolar and 3 that are unipolar. These bipolars, they are D1, D2, and then D3. And then here we have the unipolar. They are the AVR, the AVL, and the AVL. I'll be talking about each and every one over here. And then for the chest lead, they are called the precordial leads. So the precordial leads, the precordial leads, they are the V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, and V6. These are the 12 standard leads. But these leads can be more or less depending on the type of EKG that we are about doing. Now, when you reach this side, I'll talk about this one into details. Now let's look at how we place this electrode. I said we have 10 electrodes, and out of these 10 electrodes, we have 4 that are for the limbs. So these 4 electrodes that are for the limbs, how do we place them? Now let's assume this is our patient, and we want to take electrical activity of this patient. We are going to place 4 electrodes at the limbs. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you take the electrode actually have colors on them. Do you understand? So if you take the red color, is being placed at the right arm. So at the right arm, you place the red color at the wrist. Okay. So at the left arm, we place yellow. I don't have yellow color, that's why I did this blue. So please don't consider it as blue. So this is yellow, actually yellow. Let me write it. So yellow. So this is yellow. We place yellow at the left. Now, if you come to the left foot, that is our green. If you come to our right foot, that is black. Actually these electrodes, do you understand? These electrodes, out of the 4, 3 take what? The electrical activity, but one doesn't. The black one do not take do not work with the three of these, the red, yellow, and the green. It doesn't take electrical activity to be transmitted and everything. What it does it is called the neutral electrode. Neutral electrode or ground electrode. And what it does it eliminates any external electrical activity that may interfere with the process. Do you understand? So this one, it won't form part of the process that we are going to talk about, but it's actually protecting the process that we are going to do. Do you understand? Now, let's take how the leads are being placed. Now, let's take first on our lead 1. Our lead 1, it is a bipolar, so it is having 2 electrodes. So it's negative electrode. And one thing is, if the lead is having 2 electrodes, one will be positive and the other one will be negative. But if it is 1, the one is positive, do you understand? And then the heart will generate its imaginary negative electrode. I will explain that one. So here, the D1, it has its negative electrode at the right arm and then positive electrode at the left arm. Do you understand? So the D1 is actually like this. That is the D1. And the movement of the vector or the electrical impulse is moved towards the positive one. So the movement will go toward this side. Now, let's look at something here. I said the leads, they take specific information from specific part of the heart. So this lead, where it is going, you place your eye over here at the direction of the lead. Place your eye at the direction of the lead. You see, it will be coming this way. So actually, this side of the heart is where this lead take its information. Do you understand? Now, I'll explain it further with this one. Take it. Now, let's come to the D2. The D2 has its negative electrode over here, and then the positive electrode over here. Do you understand? So it will actually have something like this. So this is our D2. The movement of the electrical potential is towards the positive, or the movement of the vector is towards the positive. You understand? And then the V3 is also like this. You understand? And then it is here will be giving us we place our negative electrode, and then the left foot is our positive electrode for the D3. So we can see actually when you take this, it forms a certain triangle, and this is what we call the Enthoven triangle. The Enthoven triangle. Okay, now this Enthoven triangle, we have our D1 here, we have our D3, we have our D2. Do you understand? And I said where the direction of the vector, look at that side. Look at the direction of the vector. So let's assume we have I here. Do you understand? So this D1 is coming this way. So we'll be looking at this side. If you look at this side, you see the lateral side of the heart. So actually the D1 take information from the lateral side of the heart. Are we clear? Now, let's come to D3 and then the D2. They are actually coming downwards. Do you understand? So let's put our eye over here. When you put our eye over here, we see the inferior side of the heart. That's for the D2 and then the D3. So D2 and D3 see the inferior side of the heart. So now this is for the bipolar leads. Now let's come to the unipolar leads, which is what also called what the augmented what leads. So these augmented leads, their placement are so simple. Look at, we have AVR, L, and then the F, right, left, and foot. So you place the right here, AVR over here, place AVL over here, and then you place what? AVF over here. And I said when it is what? Only one electrode, it is positive. And when it is positive, the heart will generate imaginary negative electrode what? For that. Do you understand? For that lead. And here the heart will generate imaginary negative electrode. And this is called what? The center of the heart. The center of the heart generating that one is called what? The Wilson's central terminal. That the center of the heart, this heart, will be serving as the generation of what? Imaginary negative what? Electrode. So let's assume here we generate what? A negative electrode. You understand? At the heart. Now, let's look here. Here, the foot, this is our foot. So here will be our AVF. This is what? Our left side. So here will be what? Our AVL. And here is what? Our right side. Here will be what? Our AVR. Now, the heart is generating what? This is what? Positive what? Electrode. And the heart is generating imaginary negative electrode for us. So now, how are you going to get it? We have our negative electrode here being generated. So you see the movement will be like this. Do you understand? So the movement of the vector will be towards what? The positive. Do you understand? And then here to heart will generate the negative, and here is what? The positive. So the movement of the vector will be towards downwards. And here too, the heart will be generating what? The negative. This one is already what? Positive. So the movement will be what? Towards what? This area. Are we clear? Now, so as you move towards this side, this one, I said the eye will be looking towards what? This side, the lateral side. So AVL will take information from what? The lateral side of what? Of the heart. Are we clear? Now, this side it will be coming down, and then the eye is what? At the downside. Do you understand? So we'll be moving upward, and as we are moving up, we'll be looking at the inferior part of what? Of the heart. So the information will be what? From the inferior part of what? Of the heart. So actually we have what? Three leads taking information from the inferior part of the heart, the D2, the D3, and then the AVF. We have also to take information from the lateral side of what? Of the heart, which is what? The D1 and the AVO. The AVR and the standard 12 leads, we doesn't consider it like taking information from a specific part of what? Of the heart. Now, let's come to the 6th chest lead. That's the precordial leads. So for the precordial leads, what are they? They are 1 to 6. And how do we place them? Look at something here. This is our chest cavity. We have our sternum here. We have in the sternum we have 3 parts. We have the manubrium. We have the body. And we have what? The xiphoid process. This is the xiphoid process. The body and the manubrium. We have our clavicle. And we have what? Our ribs and what? Our intercostal spaces. Now, if you take the manubrium and what? In the body, there's certain angle over here, over there, which is what? The angle of what? Lewis. This angle of Lewis, it is easy to palpate. So we always make reference to that angle. So that angle is where we find what? The second clavicle. So beneath the second clavicle, we get our second we get our second rib. Sorry. So beneath our second rib, that's where we get our second intercostal space. So the second intercostal space, we come to the next one, which is our third intercostal space, and then the next one will be our fourth intercostal space. Now, from the fourth intercostal space, that is where you'll be starting on the placement. So we start the placement at the fourth side. Now, the first one is being placed at the right edge of the sternum. Do you understand? At the fourth intercostal space, we place it over here. They say the same thing. The second one is what? The right sternal edge. So this is the right sternal edge. So the right sternal edge or the fourth intercostal space, we place our V2. We don't place V3 unless we place V4. Now, let's look at the V4. We place V4 looking at the clavicle. You understand? So the middle side of the clavicle or the mid-clavicular line, that's where we place the V4. Now, after placing the V4, we check between the V2 and then the V4, and then we place the V3. That's why we jump at that part. Now, let's come to the V5. We place the V5 at the anterior axillary line. So the anterior axillary line we place with the V5. At the middle axillary line, we place the V6. Do you understand? Okay. So this is what the placement. The V4, the V5, and then the V6, they are all in the fifth intercostal space. Do you understand? Fifth intercostal space. Now, the V1 and then the V2, they actually take information from the septum. Do you understand? Then the V3 and then the V4, they take information from the anterior part of the heart. And then the V5 and then the V6, they take information from the lateral side of the heart. So this is the lateral side of the heart, together with the D1 and then the AVO. They will take the information. Now, in some situations, you can get more leads than the 12. That's why I said the leads can be more, but we have 12 standard. Now, in condition in which there's there's right ventricular infarction, we need to take certain information or get certain information from the right ventricle. And because of that, we need to do additional placement. And this placement is what we call what? The V3R, the V3R, and then V4R. We place the V3R and then the V4R the same place as the V3 and then the V4, but opposite. So all these, the V3 and the V4, they are the left side. So we place this at the right side so that we can take information from the right ventricle. Now, so this is what the V3R and what the V4R. Now, so take note of that one. Next one too, in some condition, let's say the posterior part of the heart has gotten infarction and we want to check that part. There are special 3 electrodes that we need to place: the V7, V8, and V9. V7, V8, and V9. How do we place these electrodes? Now, we have our, let me say this is our scapula. Let me take this to be our scapula. You understand? Okay. So here we have the V5 to be our anterior axillary line. The V6, that is our middle axillary line. So the V7 will be our posterior axillary line at the same level as the V6. Do you understand? So here we are making the V6 our reference point. Making the V6 our reference point. So let's assume this is our V6. So V6 is the reference point. So the V7 is being placed here. Do you understand? Now, the scapula, the tip of the scapula, the same horizontal line together with the V6, we place the V8, and then the V9 is being placed at the para-spinal side. So V9 to be our para-spinal. So we have our V7, V8, and V9. They take information from the posterior part of the heart. So from the posterior part of the heart, if you want to check that part, we actually go for these leads. That's additional 3 leads for the V7, V8, and then the V9 to check that part. If you want to check the right ventricle, we go for the V4R and then the V3R for that part. So this is basically how we do the placement of the 12 standard leads. Do you understand? The 12 standard leads, and also additional leads with specific conditions like right ventricular infarction, the posterior cardiac infarction. This brings us to the end of today's lesson. If you find the class useful and interesting, kindly subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, and tell friends about it too. See you in our next video.